parade rest. Well, good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing?
Good.
Glad to hear it. Well, my name is Alex. I'm joined here by Cameron, Tristan, and Trevor, and we're the 4 soldiers on duty right now here at Fort Mackinac. And before we step back and fire off the rifles, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the uniforms we are all wearing. Now, in the 1880s, the time period we are dressed to represent, soldiers were issued 2 uniforms: their dress uniform and their undress uniform. And they'd wear this undress uniform for day-to-day sort of wear, and that is what we're all wearing right now. Now, soldiers would wear this not necessarily because they wanted to, but because they had to. Because when you enlisted in the Army of the 1880s, you were not allowed any civilian clothing. That way, if you tried to run away, you could either wear your Army uniform, or you could run away without your Army uniform, and either way, you'll stick out in a crowd. Now, you might notice by the hats, and Trevor has his poncho dash, that this uniform looks fairly reminiscent of the Civil War. And even though we're 20 years after the Civil War here, the Army decides they're not going to change the uniform that much because, well, for a couple of reasons. It's durable, so it's not has to be replaced that often. It's comfortable, so the soldiers like it, and the Army loves it because it is cheap. And so they keep it around for those 20 years. Now, this would also be the uniform you would wear into combat, and you'd be carrying, carrying one of these, a Springfield 4570. This marks a pretty big jump forward for the U.S. Army because it's the first time that every soldier is issued a breech-loading rifle. All we have to do to load it is come back here, pull back twice on the hammer, and pop open our rising breech block. Then all you have to do is slide in a modern-looking brass centerfire cartridge, a lot like you would find in guns today, and you would be ready to fire. And a soldier should be able to do that every 5 seconds. This gun is also accurate at upwards of 1,000 yards. But just because you can load it every 5 seconds and hit targets 1,000 yards away doesn't mean that the soldiers back then could. And in fact, the U.S. Army was notorious for having terrible shots in its military. That is until 1884 when they start instituting mandatory target practice. And wouldn't you know it, because practice makes, you start turning out better and better shots. And so suddenly, the soldiers are becoming better and better. In fact, here at Fort Mackinac, about half the garrison was considered to be marksmen, which meant that they were hitting the target 70% or better of the time at 600 yards. And about a dozen of them were considered to be sharpshooters, which meant that they were hitting the target 80% or better of the time at 800 to 1,000 yards. Now, that being said, we cannot show you the accuracy of these rifles as, well, for one, we're all pretty terrible shots, and 2, they've given us blanks to fire for overwhelming safety reasons. However, you will notice we're taking out some historically inaccurate bright foam earplugs. I would highly recommend you all find your own historically accurate fingertip earplugs. You have 5 models per hand. They go in just like that, and we will step back and fire 2 shots apiece. Carry on. About. Face. Forward. Off. Left wheel. Off. Quad. Halt. Dash. Ponchos. Open boxes. Move. Ready. Aim. Fire. Move.